if the chair of the committee informs the speaker and the sergeant-at-arms in writing that one or both have failed to appear as ordered, the sergeant-at-arms shall take Christian Firth, Darren Anthony, or both of them, as the case may be, into his custody for the purposes of enforcing their attendance.
This new nuclear bomb that has been dropped.
This Guy's Garage. Like and subscribe.
I'd like to move a motion that I'll just provide a little bit of context for before I move it. A little bit of a recap of what brings us here today to the motion that I'd like to propose, and it has to do with the Arrive Scam app and some of the shocking revelations that we've heard from the Auditor General and her findings. To back up, during the pandemic, this was decided to bring in, the government decided to bring in an app for Canadians, forcing Canadians to use this app to document their crossing the border into Canada. It should have cost just around $80,000. Instead, so far, the Auditor General has concluded that it is at least $60 million in costs attributed to that. And that's based on what she can find.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Kuzmarchuk.
Yes, I would appreciate it if my honorable colleague would ground his statement in fact, not fiction.
That's not a point of order.
And exaggeration. So again, I think it's important that we ground our discussions here. I know he's new to this committee, but I'd appreciate that he would ground his arguments and interventions in fact.
These aren't just findings of sloppiness or some I's not dotted and T's not crossed. She has exposed monumental levels of mismanagement on this. So I'd like to propose the following motion. Given the seriousness of the fact that the summons have been ignored, that these officials at GC Strategies have not come to answer on what they did with taxpayers' money, how invoices were accumulated, who signed off on these types of expenses, and whether or not the work was actually done. These are important questions that Canadians absolutely have a right to know. And based on the statements of MPs of all parties in the House, I believe that this should be a very straightforward motion that we should be able to accept very quickly, because it touches on the collective rights of parliamentarians, not for ourselves, not as individuals, but with the responsibility entrusted to us from Canadians. And therefore, I believe that we should all support this common sense motion to ensure that when a parliamentary committee demands somebody come and testify to answer for how they spent Canadian tax dollars, that those summonses are respected, that the law is followed, that the proper process and protocols are adhered to. So therefore, Mr. Chair, I would like to move that the committee report to the House that, given that, one, GC Strategies owners, Kristen Firth and Darren Anthony, were issued summonses on November 2nd, 2023, compelling their appearance before the committee on December 5th, 2023, and refused to testify. And new summonses were issued for them to appear by February 9th, 2024. And again, GC Strategies owners refused to testify before the committee. Two, the Auditor General revealed that GC Strategies received nearly $20 million in government contracts on ArriveCan alone, double what was originally projected. Three, the Government of Canada has $250 million in contracts with GC Strategies listed on its website, but claims they cannot confirm the accuracy of this amount as the website is prone to error, casting further doubt on how much this two-person IT company has received since the company formed in 2015. And four, the RCMP is investigating contracting links to ArriveCan and has met with the Auditor General concerning her findings in the ArriveCan audit. The committee recommend that an order of the House do issue requiring Christian Firth and Darren Anthony each to appear before the Standing Committee on Government Operations and Estimates at dates and times determined by the chair of the committee, but within 14 days of the adoption of this order, provided that if the chair of the committee informs the Speaker and the Sergeant-at-Arms in writing that one or both have failed to appear as ordered, A, the Sergeant at Arms shall take Christian Firth, Darren Anthony, or both of them, as the case may be, into his custody for the purposes of enforcing their attendance before the committee at dates and times determined by the chair of the committee, for which the Speaker shall issue his warrant accordingly. And B, the Sergeant at Arms shall discharge from his custody a witness taken into his custody pursuant to paragraph A upon 1, a decision of the committee releasing the witness from further attendance, or 2, a further order of the House to that effect, and C, the Speaker shall inform the House at the earliest opportunity of developments in this regard.
We are told, members of the committee have been told that there are certain witnesses that are going to be coming to see us this week. We don't know anything about it, but somehow this information is being shared with the Conservative Party, and nobody else in the committee is being advised of that. So that is in itself a problem. And even this motion that's been before us, it was obviously well prepared ahead of the activities today, because it was taken upon discretion to proceed on something even before we had our in-camera meeting today. And again, that's disturbing. So it's important, I think, we take a pause and suspend this issue until we have greater understanding, even from the RCMP, in terms of the implications of what may be put forward here today. It's important for us to suspend because I know people want to make possible amendments to this motion to provide greater understanding and clarity and protection of certain witnesses, right? They have that right, and we should be providing them every opportunity to be protected, while at the same time protecting the government and the committee members. We have a duty to ensure that we get to the truth. We have a duty to ensure that we understand everything that's been that has occurred. And
point of order, Mr. Chair. Point of order.
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Sousa. Wait one moment.
I just want to make sure I heard that correctly. Mr. Sousa just said the role of this committee is to protect the government. I absolutely reject that. The role of this committee is to find out what happened to taxpayers' money.
Appreciate it. Not a point of order. Go ahead, Mr. Sousa.
Actually, but now that's coming forward, it's important to distinguish that we absolutely have a duty and responsibility to taxpayers, and we represent the taxpayer. We're here to represent Canadians. We're here to ensure that all Canadians have due process, and that we uncover any actions or things that have not been done appropriately.
And just a couple points on that. I mean, number one, Mr. Sousa is very familiar with instances of government scandal. He was part of a government in Ontario during which a gas plant scandal occurred, in which people went to jail. He let the mask slip a little bit when he said that he thinks the committee should be working to protect the government. That is not the role of parliamentary committees. The role of parliamentary committees is to—
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
I suspect this will not be a real point of order.
It's a point of order. I mean, Mr. Speaker, you said something
Go
that I
ahead,
didn't
Mr.
say.
Sousa.
Yeah, I did not.
On your
I did
point of
not
order?
say that. A point of order. Just to correct the record, I did not say that.
No, that's not a point of
We-
order.
we-
Correcting the record,
we-
expressing an opinion is
I
not
will
a
decide that,
You're
Mr.
not-
Chenoweth and Mr. Sousa. Thanks for your comment, Mr. Sousa. It's not a point of order.
We're actually entering into contracts with the government of Canada long before 2015, long before GC Strategies was ever created. And so one of the things that we asked for on this Liberal side is that we expand the scope of what we're interested in looking at.
Sorry, one moment.
And-
Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Kuzmierczak. There's a point of order. Mr. Scheer, please, on your point of order.
I just have a procedural question for the chair. If you could just help me understand something. Mr. Kuzmierczak has had the floor for about 20 minutes now. Am I correct in understanding that if he continues talking this out until 4 o'clock, the meeting will be forced to come to an end, and therefore he is blocking this motion from coming to a vote today?
At 4 p.m., I won't say everything that you've just said, but at 4 p.m., we are out of resources and we'll be adjourning.
So he's effectively blocking this motion from coming to a
4
vote.
p.m., we will be adjourning. Mr. Kuzmierczak, floor's back to you.
Well, thank you. And again, I really do appreciate my colleague, Mr. Scheer, joining us here at committee. We've had some important discussions and debates here. And of course, I very much appreciate his contribution. Back to what I was saying, again, I take issue with the preamble because there are things in there, sentences that are stated as a matter of fact, which again are still right now under investigation and consideration.
Point of order, Chair.
We want to get to the bottom of it. And
I'm sorry to
Point of
interrupt you,
order.
Mr. Kuzmierczuk. We have another point of order. Mr. Brock,
I've listened
if
very
it's on a
carefully.
point of order, please.
Yes, I've listened very carefully to the words of Mr. Kuzmierczuk. He's now repeating himself many times over. So I just want to flag that because clearly his motive is to drag this
Okay.
out till the
Okay.
meeting is adjourned,
Right.
and therefore we will not get to a vote. Canadians are aware of his strategy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brock.
you can't just treat it willy-nilly. You need to make sure that when it is shared with the other provincial health agencies, that it is secure.
Mr.
That was
Kuzmierczuk.
$2.4 million.
Mr. Kuzmierczuk, I apologize for
Yes.
interrupting you. First of all, thank you for mentioning the viewers on Parview, all three of them, probably my wife and two kids watching. Thanks for mentioning that. But we are out of time.
Is there a willingness to just put the
therefore,
question real
we
quick
have no
before
more
we adjourn?
resources, so I am adjourning. But thank you very much, everyone.